and so natural, and I just was curious about your thoughts about kind of the long-term legacy of the show and how it's just going to continue to be so important in the culture.
I think the best way to understand what we've done, all of us, because you know you're part in it. We've talked about it a few times already, and we wrote about it. What the fan base had to do with the construct of the show was as integral as the writers who wrote the show. The communication technology that we have today was monumental in structuring what we did on the show. But what you got to remember is when we were invited to the UN, and the United Nations asked us, as the only show they've ever asked in the history of the United Nations, to come in and to discuss terrorism, to discuss
human rights,
to discuss children in war, to discuss reconciliation, and major pieces of with the entire planet. Okay, there's the entire UN filled to the brim, and delegates from all over the world, and there we are talking about a television show. And so, like Blade Runner, which is more relevant today than it was in 1980 when we finished it, this show will not be understood for another 25 years or 30 years from today. That's when the true impact of art really makes its totality. Because what happens is, just like a great painting, or a great book, or a great piece of music, when you hear it finally, and there's been many years that have gone through and you finally hear it, or see it, or experience that art, it devastates you because you've waited 20 years, 30 years before you got to see it. And people who saw it on the first day are saying, oh man, I got it. But people who didn't see it for like 10, 15, 20 years after are saying, oh man, I just saw it. Oh my God. That's what happened with Blade Runner. Blade Runner was, I tell you man, it's people who see Blade Runner for the first time today are more blown away than people who saw it the day it was finished. And the same thing's going to happen with this. It's a piece of work that will sustain the test of time and will be stronger on the 50th anniversary than it was on the day that it came out.